Hello friends, I'd like to start off by saying how much we appreciate all your comments and suggestions. Today's episode will focus on Rachel and Eileene, the ladies of 7 Nights. Just like Rudy and Chris, Eileene and Rachel overcame social statuses to become friends. Rachel comes from House Agni, which is a house steeped in history, one that has ruled Agnia, a trade city in blazing desert, for a very long time. The descendants of this house can control fire. Rachel is the firstborn of this illustrious house. She's a royal among royals. With her intelligence and unrivaled skills, she was a fixture for praise by her instructors. She was thought to be the heir apparent, not only by her family, but by the people of Agnia too. However, due to the elite training Rachel received as a young girl, she was also instilled with a sense of royal superiority. Rachel grew up feeling the rift between her and the common folk. But her way of thinking changed after she met Eileene. Unlike Rachel, who grew up wanting for nothing, Eileene comes from a line of mercenaries. Although Eileene is the only granddaughter of the Daybreak Mercenaries' legendary leader, she didn't know that growing up. You can only imagine how rough and tough her upbringing was. I wonder if they were drawn to each other because of their different backgrounds. They became fast friends despite growing up in such vastly different environments. Rachel used to believe the royals were at the center of everything, but Eileene made her see things differently. Unfortunately, House Agni and the Daybreak Mercenaries were old foes. Their friendship was doomed from the start. In the end, war broke out between House Agni and the Daybreak Mercenaries, and Rachel ended up losing her grandfather in the war. Because of this, Rachel started to see Eileene as her enemy instead of her friend. With the war dragging on, Eileene and her mercenaries moved to Silent Mine, while Rachel began to gather resources and power to get revenge. Their friendship had broken and turned into hatred. Rachel worked hard to receive recognition and became Empress of Blazing Desert. Her superiority complex returned and even grew due to her extreme disdain for the mercenaries. At the same time, Eileene successfully restored the Daybreak Mercenaries to their former glory. She also freed Fodina, a kingdom in the Silent Mine, from the orcs. While harboring ill will towards each other, they became ferocious leaders of their respective kingdoms. However, as the days went by, the severity of attacks from the orcs worsened, and Eileene became troubled. She realized she didn't have enough troops to save the mine. Reluctantly, she reached out to Rachel for help. But then, the messengers Eileene sent were all slaughtered, which meant she never received a response and reinforcements never arrived. Eileene thought Rachel had crossed the line and was furious. She felt Rachel's actions were grounds for war, so she took her army and stormed Blazing Desert. Those of you familiar with the story of the 7 Nights already know what's going to happen next. It turns out all of this was planned by none other than Delones. Bane, Delone's underling, was the one that killed all of Eileene's messengers. Delones wanted to drive a permanent wedge between Rachel and Eileene. When the two confronted each other, Rachel obviously didn't know that Eileene called for help. But right before the fighting began, Evan, the problem solver, appeared to explain what had happened. Thankfully, the misunderstanding was sorted out and the war was stopped in its tracks. Unlike Rudy and Chris, who fell for Delone's sinister trap and only realized what happened later, Rachel and Eileene were able to avoid disaster because Evan and Rudy stepped in. After all that, it looks like Rachel is feeling more than just a little thankful to Rudy. Could there be a deeper meaning behind what she said in the Affinity? Even though they're no longer fighting, maybe Rachel feels a little awkward because her response to Eileene asking them to bury the hatchet is such a princess response. It really highlights their different backgrounds. Hopefully they'll be able to mend their friendship. The two officially joined the 7 Nights and fought side by side. When Rachel was taken away by Lu Bu, Eileene was the one who worried the most. I guess even after all the drama, they were still friends at heart. It'll be exciting to see how they grow as characters since they have yet to be awakened. Until next time everyone, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.